all things indicate accidental, but in terms of the political, he's concerned that this chemical storage facility was allowed to store materials like this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think there is, as you can sense from his voice, a feeling of need for accountability because, again, Lebanon hasn't been ruled by very good rulers. And of course, there's enormous frustration with not just the existing rulers, but also the whole, what they call kleptocracy, that it's really ran this country for so long, stealing so much of its riches and wealth. And now to know that there may be, uh, this civilian catastrophe. We had people, talking about this as Lebanon's Hiroshima. Sorry, that kind of sense of feeling. And you heard the reporter talk about it as a Chernobyl. There isn't a single home inside Beirut that isn't affected. I mean, the glass in every apartment building is shattered. It's gone inward and hurt people inside their apartment buildings, inside their own homes, let alone the people that were walking on the street. Remember, also, Lebanon was just under a 5-day curfew lockdown. And so this was the first day people got to go out. So there were a lot of people busying about. It was rush hour. People were getting their groceries, getting all the basic necessities. And then this happened. So again, every home is affected. This is why you hear about the hospitals being overwhelmed with people, injuries of every kind you can imagine with flying glass and shrapnel. So it is a catastrophe that people will be talking about for a very long time inside Lebanon. And they do want heads to roll for this. But it just adds to the political frustration because just days ago, the boiling point of people just absolutely fed up with the current ruling class is at its highest moment I've ever seen it in my lifetime. And I've been watching Lebanon for years. So it just shows you how it's a country in crisis and a country now in mourning and really paying for it almost in every household.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, a catastrophe on top of a catastrophe because of the state of Beirut, well, because of the state of Lebanon. How then does Lebanon and the city of Beirut deal with this when you're talking about such horrific damage, multiple injuries and deaths?
Well, we're hearing people saying that the international community needs to help. They're calling for, as that one reporter noted, the wheat supplies, right? Lebanon is an importer of wheat, and all of the basic necessities now are going to be also difficult to get into the country. This was a main port, so just getting supplies to a country that is so dependent on imports. I mean, the economic crisis already made life difficult for the average consumer. Now add to that just the cost of repair, the cost of trying to get back on their feet. People are looking for the international community inside Lebanon for support. But frankly, this is an international community that is so introverted, just basically trying to deal with their own woes thanks to Corona and all the rest of the domestic challenges every country is dealing with, that cooperation, multilateralism, foreign aid just feels like, frankly, a fantasy. And so really, this is a sad day for Lebanon even further.
And in terms of international aid, I mean, even the Prime Minister has gone to the IMF to try to secure some kind of funding. I mean, this is one of the most indebted countries in the world.
It is. And, the IMF loan is already a very controversial one inside the country. The conditionality that the IMF requires are very, very tough. And so it would be even harder days ahead for Lebanon if they signed on to this agreement. There is an international community bailout, so to speak, in a sense that they're going to offer some additional money if they take on the IMF loan. But, frankly, Lebanon doesn't need loans. It needs grants. It needs support to get food onto the table of people. And we're not talking about even, another underclass of society that's, is going to be even more hard pressed now, which are the refugees. Lebanon is dealing with almost 25% of its population are refugees. Many from Syria, many previously from, the Palestinians that left when their lands were overtaken by Israel back in the 1940s and 60s. So there's just so much pressure on the Lebanese society, government, and people now.
Okay, Bessma Momani, we'll keep in touch with you on this. Interim Assistant Vice President of International Relations at the University of Waterloo. Thank you very much for your time and your expertise.